Hey girl, you need some help carrying those jugs? Dang, those must be heavy! I'd motor the heck out of those boats. I didn't even have to go to Japan to see Mount Fuji. Yo, cut me a piece of those melons! Nice rack! These catcalls happen to her every single day when she gets to school. Whenever she walks into the classroom, the cafeteria, no, just everywhere she goes. There's always some comments and teasing, but she never answers. I am Pauline, a high school student. I am happy with everything I have. My looks, my skin, my grades, and the status of my family. Everything except my chest. I have a really flat chest. Whatever I wear just doesn't look that good. I'm so jealous of models with beautiful bodies and of this girl in our class called Mel. Mel has huge breasts. Such a beautiful body, but she's so ungrateful for it. She's always slouching, covering them, and antisocial. I've tried giving her advice, but she refuses to listen to my good intentions. Everyone in the class always makes fun of her because of her chest. But of course, no girl in high school has ever had breasts as big as hers, so they all think it's funny, including me. It's funny that she has everything I want, but doesn't even realize it. I was jealous before, but after a while, it was just annoying. So I started to pick on her. I would write stuff on the whiteboard to make fun of her, and even take her shoes and books and hide them. She showed little reaction, so I had to amp up my moves. I put glue on her chair, and I even splashed water on her so that everyone could see through her shirt. When I printed her picture and passed it around school, she couldn't take it anymore. She asked me to meet her on the balcony of the 3rd floor to talk. She begged me to stop picking on her, but seeing her pathetic face made me refuse. It's not my job to stop other people from picking on her. When I finished telling her that, she completely lost it and lunged towards me. We started fighting, pushing and pulling each other until we both fell off the balcony. I thought in that second that I was going to die. This stupid girl had killed me. When I woke up again in a room that I wasn't familiar with, I looked all over myself but found no wounds or cuts. But I noticed something different. How did my breasts get so big? It's not just my breasts, but my whole body wasn't the same. I looked in the mirror and saw Mel looking back at me. How did I get into her body? How is that possible? Did I die or am I dreaming? I realized I was conscious when I could smell the food that Mel's mom had prepared. Mel's mom called me over to have breakfast. I tried to tell her that I was Pauline, a classmate of Mel that's in Mel's body, but not only did she not believe me, she became really worried. She thought Mel was too stressed to go to school, so she told me to take the day off. But I wasn't having it. I had to find out what happened to me and insisted on going to school anyway. I went to school and found my real self talking to my group of friends happily. That must be Mel in my body. Mel was blending in really well as me. I walked over to her and demanded that she give me my body back. Of course, no one believed me and accused me of making up stories to get attention. I was teased and picked on the same way I had done to Mel when I was in my own body. I couldn't take it anymore. I ran home and locked myself in my room for days. I thought I was going crazy. I looked in the mirror and saw Mel looking back at me, and it disgusted me. I grabbed a pair of scissors in the heat of the moment, thinking I would just remove this face and chest. But when I thought of my family, my mom and dad, I stopped myself from doing something stupid. I decided to go to my house to see my parents. I might find a reason or some kind of evidence to prove to them. They must believe me. When I got there, I climbed up the balcony to get to my room and saw Mel in my body just sitting there playing on my phone. I was so angry seeing her using my things as if they were her own. I ran in to grab my phone and threatened her to give me my body back. But she just laughed at me in my body and answered, "Why? We both got what we wanted, didn't we? I wanted to have smaller breasts and you wanted to have bigger ones, so shouldn't we both be satisfied?" "I wanted to have bigger breasts, but that didn't mean I wanted to be in your body," I screamed back at her. Then I lunged towards her to hurt her into giving me my body back. We fought, pushing and pulling each other until we fell down the balcony again. My body fell all the way down and hit the ground. This time, the pain was so real that I passed out. I had no idea how long I was out for. But when I woke up, I was in a white hospital room, and the first thing I saw were my parents crying. They ran to hold me and calling my real name, Pauline. I was back in my own body. I was so happy I could barely contain my tears. I cried so hard as my parents were telling me that Mel and I were fighting and we both fell down the balcony of the school. Some kind of miracle saved me. I barely had scratches on me. I realized that what had happened must have been a dream when I passed out. Mel was apparently also fine and was already sent home to recover there. After I had recovered, I went back to school to find out that Mel had left the school due to mental issues. She kept telling everyone that she was someone else and was at a high risk of harming herself. I was relieved that I didn't have to see her again. But after some time passed, one night I received a message from Mel that she wanted to meet me alone. I read it and thought it was nonsense because it was almost midnight, so how was I going to meet her? Even if it were the day, I had no reason to go meet her. Suddenly, I heard noises coming from the balcony. I was scared, but I opened the balcony door and was relieved to find no one there. I was probably just hearing things, but as I was turning back, something silver was thrown at me from the balcony. I ducked from shock, but it was close to touching me. The person on the balcony with the silver weapon was Mel. She laughed hysterically and screamed at me to give her her body back, as well as saying that she hated her big breasts. With another weapon in her hand, she moved closer and closer to me. I screamed so loud and closed my eyes and then woke up. I had fallen asleep while playing on my phone. There was no message from Mel at all. It was all a dream. I realized that I was probably feeling bad for what I did to her, which put her in the state she is in now. It made me feel so guilty I had a nightmare about it. The next day, I decided to go to Mel's house to confess everything to Mel's mom, hoping that they will forgive me, hoping that they will forgive her. Mel's mom listened to me without saying a single word and then left the room crying. I was alone in the room with Mel, so I apologized sincerely to her and hoped that she would forgive me for everything. She didn't say a word. She just looked in the mirror and laughed, hysterically to herself. I started to feel scared, and so I decided maybe I should go home. As I turned, Mel grabbed my arm and held me back and said really hauntingly, "What? You don't want my big breasts anymore?" I screamed loudly and tried to shake her off me. "No, I don't want to have big breasts anymore. Let me go!" I shook her hand off of me and bolted out the door. Even though I will never know whether everything that had happened to me was real or not, or why Mel spoke to me like that, but I was too scared to ever tell anyone what happened. I never saw the value in what I had and just wanted what society wanted. Who was it anyway who defined that beauty had to mean bigger breasts? It made me create a flaw in myself that I didn't even have and ruined another person's life. So many people have been hurt because of the unrealistic expectations of beauty that was set by society. I don't want anyone to ever feel undervalued the way I did, to the point where it would cause something like this to happen again.